Emu revealed yet another new mystery character. The story between Brook and Gunko is about to be unfolded, and are we preparing for yet another new native hunting contest that will take place in the flashback between Brook and Gunko? Be sure to stick till the end to know everything about chapter 1183 and a lot of speculation, some wild theories and everything else delivered right to you into your One Piece feed through this video. Everyone, this is Motion, but before we move on to the main video, I would like to request one thing, and that is please be sure to subscribe to our channel Motion, like this video, share this video with fellow One Piece and anime fans, and with that out of the way, let's get back into the main video. Chapter 1183 begins just where we left off, and that is the fight between Emu and Loki continues yet again. And my boy Emu doesn't look to be in a very good shape. And Loki again, he's pretty injured. He was very injured right from where he just met Shamrock till now. He's just getting stabbed, and you can just see them just aura farming after all those injuries, and that is pretty fascinating to see because again, injuries doesn't matter, aura farming does. But in this battle, we yet see Emu revealing another new name character, and we have no clue about who this character is, by the way. And for the time being, he is being called as Dawson, whatever you want to call him. But again, keep this in mind that until and unless the official translation comes in, everything is subjected to change, including the name of Dawson. It could be like Dozo or something, I don't know, but it could change, just like how we saw with Zazan and Zaza. But it is a pretty fascinating name because we have seen One Piece for almost 2 decades now, and the name Dawson never appeared, right? There are many theories about him. The most popular one is that he was the former god of war in Elbaf, and he might have been the former user of the Nidhogg Devil Fruit, and based on the expression of our little Ragnir, he might have been the previous wielder or the previous user of Ragnir as well. And if it was not established before, Ragnir doesn't like Emu at all. He really despises Emu. So again, there is always a connection between Ragnir. He is pretty ancient and Emu is also pretty ancient, so it is pretty interesting to see that Dawson may have been the previous wielder of Ragnir, and Emu might have been the person. Again, he just stated that he killed Dawson, so Dawson, the previous wielder of Ragnir, was definitely killed by Emu at some point of time. And he just giving them threats that, hey, I'm going to just eradicate you just like how I did to Dawson. It's again pretty interesting because we're just seeing Emu getting thrashed by Loki at this point. So Emu is again pretty ill. Can he do the same what he did to Dawson probably 1,000 of years ago? Maybe he's not at the prime of his power, but this threat alone proves that Emu is still holding a lot of energy, a lot of power back, and he might just unleash something when he just feels like it. Currently, I don't think Emu is feeling like I'm going to unleash my full power. He's pretty much enjoying the fight with Loki, as how I'm seeing this right now. But if I have to guess who Dawson is, I would say this, that Dawson was probably one of the 20 ancient kings, right? This is pretty interesting. I just think that it will be very fascinating to see, Emu wanted to get all the power, and he just one by one killed every single one of the other 20 ancient kings, and Dawson may have been one of them, and he again could have been the former wielder of Ragnir, might not have the Nidhogg Devil Fruit, but again, this just thread alone could be to Ragnir that, hey, I'm just going to kill how I killed my fellow king a few years back. For them it's like few years, but for us it is like almost thousands of years. So he just teasing Ragnir at this point, if Dawson was again one of the 20 kings. And don't worry, I'm going to make another follow-up video to this one discussing everything about Dawson, who he could have been, and really long short theories, very much a lot of speculations at this point, and we're going to make a wild guess about who Dawson is at the end of that video. So be sure to subscribe to our channel to get the earliest notification for that wild speculative Dawson based video. But again, if you guys subscribe to our channel, this really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm and everything, and gives us a lot of moral boost as well. It's free, so I would recommend everyone to subscribe. It's a request, so keep that in mind. But now let's get back into the main video. We have a lot to talk about in 1183. You guys remember, Elbaf started with the stealing of kids, right? The Elbaf kids were being stolen by Kiringham, Summers and Gunko at that point, and now it is turned into this great giant battlefield. The fight between Emu versus Loki and Luffy, and there are a lot of things to play here. Apparently the rain god Zaza is also here. Her nightmare version, obviously, not her real version. I do made a video about killing him and why he is like the thread we need to eliminate here in Elbaf. So be sure to check that out. It was the last video in our channel. Again, it was pretty informative. So if you guys want to check that out, you could by clicking in our channel and just viewing that one. But for now, let's just talk about Kiringham, right? He is the main thread here. He is stealing the kids again. The kids are in danger again. For some reason, the kids are really important. Oda is keeping that plot, so it is going to be of some importance at the very end. Or maybe he wanted to divide the straw hats and give each of them some kind of assignment. So Sanji is having the kid saving assignment. He is currently going to fight Zaza and Kiringham at this point. The kids are being stolen again by Zaza. Apparently she just have 7 out of the 10 kids, so I don't know why that number 7 matters. Maybe 3 kids will have some kind of side plot or something. But it will be pretty interesting to see what Sanji does when he sees Zaza again, because Zaza is a female character and Sanji really gets hyped when he just sees a female character. And would Sanji fight a female character at that point, knowing that she's not the real threat? The real threat is Kiringham, so let's just see what happens on that part. But speaking about the main plot in Elbaf, currently it is going to be Brook and Gunko's backstory, the long-awaited backstory we all have been waiting for since the very showing that Gunko and Brook are related. So we are getting the start of it right now. 1183 was the beginning, and probably it is going to go for a few chapters, maybe 2 chapters at least, 1184 and 1185. But let's just see. Now Brook and Gunko both belong from the West Blue, and they were part of the kingdom which was really known for their music, and they even had an opera house. And it is pretty interesting to know that little kid Gunko was the princess of the country, and she was a really big fan of Brook at that time. And Brook, for some reason, loved her mother. Now the king is very much jealous of Brook at this point, and you could just see him. Again, the king doesn't look like someone who is menacing. He is doing gardening. My boy is doing gardening. How could he be menacing? But again, Brook is not kind of a person who is going to kill or assassinate the king and took the princess for him. But again, maybe the king really thought that way, because the princess Candle, again, when she was showed, she was really beautiful, by the way. And having watched anime for such a long time, the queens being very, very, beautiful, the kings are not that beautiful, and as someone else really having a crush on the queen is not a new type of genre for anime. But for again, One Piece, it is like something we all knew, right? Brook is someone who could be, so fascinating to watch. And here particularly we get to see Brook's human eyes for the very first time. And it is very interesting to see that we know Brook for so many years, and we never got to see these real human eyes, and this was the first time ever we got to see them. And they're pretty normal, he doesn't have any kind of Sharingan like abilities. So it is pretty interesting to see, Brook's eyes. There's something that really needs to be pointed right now in this chapter. Maybe the biggest highlight of this chapter is that we got to see Brook's eyes. They are so much important. But again, we got to see little Gunko, and Gunko really loves Brook's music, and she's really passionate about her music. And I don't think Oda is going to do something like Gunko really loves Brook, because Gunko is like a child, right? Oda is not going to do some kind of child love story. At least I don't think that way. Maybe it is going to be a love story towards music, and Gunko really, really loves Brook's music. We got to see that right now. Even when she's a holy knight, she really loves Brook's music. So it is pretty interesting to see that she even loved that. But again, in the West Blue during that time, it was really, really going to be really hard to survive in that point, because West Blue was run by gangs. Let's just be honest. And some kind of gang really attacked their island. Brook just cut them off without any hesitation. One more thing to point out is that their royal uniform is very close to the Royal Knights, or the Holy Knights, sorry, not the Royal Knights, they're the Holy Knights. And the princess herself, Candle, really looked like a Holy Knight at this point. Could she be playing something like a gardening game and maybe fostering some kind of relation with the citizen in order to trap them in another native hunting contest for the Holy Knights? Sorry, for the Tenryou Beetles. The Holy Knight do fall in the same category as the Tenryou Beetles or the Celestial Dragons. They are just the Celestial Dragons with some kind of sword or skills. Generally the Celestial Dragons are kind of lay back, I don't know how to fight kind of deal. But the Holy Knights do have some kind of skill demonstrated by Garling, by losing to Rox Dizzer back in an off-screen manner at this point. I don't know why Oda did that. Garling almost lost all his aura. My guy is not having a lot of aura at this point. The only aura he's getting is from his two sons, Shamrock and Shanks. They are strong, so we are hoping that, come on, Darling, you have to be strong in order to be on that main One Piece panel of the main contenders who are going to be the persons that might be able to find the One Piece. I think with that, we just sum up everything that happened in the chapter in a really short manner, and we're going to talk all about it in the aftermath of our chapter analysis, which is coming out in a few days. Don't worry, we're going to talk all about Tauzan. Is this place going to turn into another new hunting contest or native hunting contest? And we're going to talk all about it in our next video. So be sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, share this video to fellow One Piece and anime fans. And with that out of the way, I'm out. Peace.